What's up, graphic designers? In today's class, we're going to learn how to create a PNG from the portraits that we took in class last week. So, what is a PNG? How does it work? It's a file that contains transparency, and that's really important. We're going to be using PNGs all year long so that we can create something that maybe looks a little bit like this, and you're going to recognize many of your teachers here in this layout of the school. And I was able to do this because all these individual layers, for example, featuring Miss Dweck and Miss Zimmer and, of course, Mr. Duffy, they're all PNGs. So if I click and I drag this layer and I simply plop it down onto the directory, you're going to see that there's no background. It's just the image itself, just the cutout. And it's going to make so much possible. It's going to open up so many doors. And let's talk about how to create that right now. So here we have Jordan and here we have John. And I know that last week we were using the magnetic lasso, and we recall that if you just simply click and then drag the mouse around, you know, it's kind of a pain in the butt, but you can create a selection. Well, today we're going to learn a new selection tool that will streamline things, that will make your life much easier. I'm going to press Command D to deselect, and you're going to find that selection tool right underneath the magnetic lasso. And in fact, if you right click the icon underneath it, we've got a few options, including the quick selection tool and the magic wand tool, which we've been using lately. But today we're going to use the object selection tool. And you're probably thinking, object selection tool, what exactly does that do? It does what it sounds like it does. It selects objects. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and drag, making sure that I've got the selection, like what I want, the subject within the perimeter of the selection, and I'm going to release. And there we go. Would you look at that? Wow, that is amazing. I can see a very, very precise selection right along the edge of John. That looks great. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to press Command C to copy. And then because this is a pretty big image, it's going to take a little while to paste over into a new document. But we're going to click File, New. And always we're going to go to the clipboard. So I can see that the selection we just made of John is 1225 by 3353 pixels. And we're going to simply press Create, and I'm going to press Command V to paste. And would you look at that? That is amazing. And so we're not done just yet. What we need to do right now is we need to unlock the background by clicking that little lock in the layers palette. And then this is critical. We want to click and drag to the garbage can. And then we've got our PNG. And I'm going to press Command Z to undo. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at just his hair, because I suspect that many of you guys will have a similar issue with this. So what I'm going to do is we want to sort of clean this up a little bit, and this can be tricky. I'm going to press E for eraser. I'm going to have the hardness maybe around 84, 85%, and then the size depends on like the image that you're working with. But oh, look at this. So what I wanted to do was delete his hair. You'll notice that I'm on the wrong layer. I'm on layer 0. Instead, I'm going to jump to layer 1, and we can just sort of like clean this up a little bit, because we don't want any green in the background, do we? No. Okay. And there's ways, well, there's a, oops, I'm going to press Command Z to go back. There's a few different ways to make this look really good, but they involve channels and it gets more complex. We're going to do that later this year. But for right now, I think this looks pretty great. I'm going to press Command minus to zoom out. That looks great. So I'm going to go, we unlocked layer 0, and now what we're going to do is simply press delete, and when we do, I can see that we've got the white and gray checkers in the background that indicates transparency. So what we're going to do is we're going to click File, Save As, and then we're not going to save this as a PSD, as a Photoshop file. Instead, we're going to save this as a PNG, and that's all the way down, and we're going to save this as first name, last name, cutout, and as a PNG, and that's how we're going to save it. I'm going to click Save to confirm. Beautiful. So now we've got this cut out. I'm going to do that one more time, a little bit more quickly, and then I'm going to teach you some retouching techniques. So we're not using the magnetic lasso. Instead, what I'm going to do is select the object selection tool. Okay, I'm going to make sure it's right around the perimeter of her body. And if we needed to shift the selection around, I'm actually holding down spacebar, and then I'm going to find where it needs to be. I'm going to release spacebar. I'm going to release the left click on the mouse, And that looks great. I'm going to press Command C to copy. We're going to go to File, New. We're on the clipboard. We're going to press Create, Command V. And that looks really, really good. Now, I noticed a few things. I noticed that, like, when we're looking along, like, sort of like the right side of her hair, it's kind of like, it's kind of bumpy in like a weird way. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the polygonal lasso, and instead of using the eraser tool like we did a second ago, I'm just going to make a sort of a straight line like so. And I'm just going to do pieces at a time, and I'm going to press delete. And I recognize that that's really flat, right? That doesn't look super realistic, so maybe you just want to do smaller segments at a time, and you're going to do what works well for you, what you like, because of course this is your portrait. And if you instead wanted to simply use just the eraser tool, that's also another option. So we could do that up here. And actually, I'll show you one other technique. If you use the elliptical marquee, and I'm going to make a selection a little bit like this, okay? And I'm going to press Command-Shift-I to invert the selection, because right now, if I use the eraser tool, we're erasing her face. We don't want to do that. Instead, what we want to do is erase outside, like along the top of her head. What I'm going to do is press Command-Shift-I, invert the selection. Now I'm going to press E to erase, and now we can sort of smooth things out this way. So it's a little bit, you know, it's a little bit smoother. And when we zoom out, that looks much better. So again, we're going to click the lock to unlock it. We're going to drag it to the garbage can or simply press delete. We're going to save this as file save as. We're going to change the format from a PSD file to a PNG, and I'm going to type in first name, cut out as a PNG, and we're going to save it. Now here's what I know. I know Photoshop can distort our perception of beauty in like weird ways, right? So Tom Cruise, he's renowned for being a good-looking guy. He's a talented actor. He's got some peculiar belief systems, all right? So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to use the paintbrush, and I'm going to select a blue. So let's say he's having some interesting discoloration on his face. So I'm going to add some blue dots here, 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 and here. And what I know, and you know what, for good measure I'll do this. What I know is, like, I used to have awful skin. A lot of people struggle with acne. Photoshop is amazing at eliminating sort of these unwanted facial features. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for, okay, here it is. If you right-click on the tool underneath the eyedropper, we've got a number of options, including the spot healing brush tool, along with the patch tool and some other fun ones. I'm going to select the spot healing brush tool, and check this out, guys. I'm going to zoom in. And to be clear, actually, I'm going to switch to the move tool real quick. We painted right on this image. It's not like a separate layer, right? So it's as if it was the image itself. And I'm going to return to the spot healing brush tool, and I'm going to make the size just a little bit bigger than what we're trying to eliminate. So I'm going to click right here, and it's gone. And that looks pretty freaking realistic. I'm going to click here, gone, gone. Wow, that looks amazing. I'm going to get rid of this. Okay. And so you can simply touch up faces like this, and we can actually touch them up right there. And I'll show you one other thing. Here is the patch tool. I'm going to simply click and drag, kind of like using the regular lasso selection tool. I'm going along here, and I'm going to click and I'm going to drag. Make release, Command D. And we just got rid of like a theoretical scar. We're going to leave this one blue dot on there for good measure. And that's super fun. After you create your PNG, if you want to have a little bit of fun with the patch tool, let's see if this works. We can make a selection, and then you can click and drag away. Yeah, Tom Cruise. Who's laughing maniacally now? All right. Okay, Tom Cruise. I can't wait to see your work. You're going to save your image as a PNG again. Let me know if you have any questions. Good luck.